It started with a message. A simple text, nothing more than a notification on a quiet Tuesday evening. Yet it shook Daniel's world in ways he could never have imagined. He stared at the screen, heart thudding, unable to comprehend the words he was reading. Daniel, there's something you don't know. Something she's been hiding for years. He blinked, unsure if it was a prank. Who would send a message like this? And why now? Daniel had always trusted his wife, Lauren. They had met in college, fallen in love, and built a quiet, happy life in their suburban home. Neighbors admired them, friends envied their closeness, and strangers often remarked on how perfect they seemed. At least, that's what he thought. Now, all of that certainty felt like sand slipping through his fingers. The message came from a number he didn't recognize. No name, no explanation, just a warning. Secrets have a way of surfacing. He tried to push the message away, telling himself he was overreacting, but the doubt had already taken root. Could Lauren really be hiding something so big? Something life-changing. The next morning, Daniel tried to act normal. He kissed Lauren goodbye and watched her drive off, smiling as she waved. Inside, though he was spinning, his mind raced through every detail of their life together. Every conversation, every shared moment. Was it all a lie? By lunchtime, he couldn't take it anymore. He sat in his car outside a small cafe, staring at his phone. He typed a reply to the unknown number, paused, then deleted it. What could he even ask? What did my wife hide? Sounded accusatory. Are you serious? Felt weak. Instead, he tried to convince himself that it was nothing. Perhaps an old friend playing a cruel joke, or a misdirected message meant for someone else. Yet deep down, he knew it was more. That evening, he returned home early, pretending to be tired from work. Lauren noticed immediately. Her brow furrowed as she reached for his hand. You're quiet tonight, she said softly. Everything okay? Daniel forced a smile. Just a long day, he murmured, but he couldn't shake the growing storm inside him. As night fell, he found himself pacing their living room. The house was silent except for the soft hum of the refrigerator. He glanced at the bookshelf, the photos on the wall, the little reminders of a life he thought he knew. Everything suddenly seemed fragile. Then he saw a folded envelope tucked behind the photo of their wedding. He hadn't noticed it before. It was addressed to him, but in handwriting he didn't recognize. He picked it up, fingers trembling. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a message that made him freeze. Trust is earned, not given. Some truths are buried for a reason. Daniel sank into the couch, gripping the note like a lifeline. His mind raced faster than it had in years. Was this related to Lauren? Was it the sender of the text? And most importantly, what truth could possibly be so dangerous that it had to be hidden for years? His phone buzzed again. Another text. Same number. Meet me at the park near the old oak tree. 7:45 p.m. Come alone. Come, if you're ready to know the truth. Daniel's heart pounded. He stared at the message, mind spinning. 7:45 p.m. was only 2 hours away. And yet, the thought of going terrified him. What if this was a trap? What if everything he loved crumbled tonight? He looked at Lauren, who was reading a book on the couch, completely unaware. She smiled at him without suspicion. Daniel felt a stab of guilt for even thinking of leaving, but curiosity and a desperate need for answers overpowered him. He grabbed his coat and left the house, phone in hand. The city streets were quiet, the sky darkening with the promise of rain. Every step toward the park felt heavier than the last. When he arrived, the old oak tree loomed ahead, its branches stretching wide like the arms of some ancient guardian. He saw a figure waiting beneath it, shadowed by the dim streetlight. Daniel, the voice said, calm/steady, yet carrying a weight he couldn't ignore. You need to see this. It's about your wife. Daniel stepped closer, heart thundering, and realized that the stranger in front of him wasn't just a messenger. They were a doorway to a truth that would change everything. His hands shook as he reached out, but before he could speak, a thought struck him, sharp and insistent. What if some secrets are meant to stay hidden? He swallowed hard. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more touching tales. Daniel barely noticed the words as they crossed his mind. He was too focused on the envelope the stranger handed him, a piece of paper that could shatter his entire world. He unfolded it, and what he read made him stumble backward, gripping the tree for support. The truth wasn't just a revelation, it was a bomb waiting to explode, and there was no going back once it did. As he stared at the paper, rain began to fall softly, cold and steady. Daniel felt his chest tighten, a mix of fear and heartbreak. One thing was certain. His life, and his understanding of Lauren, would never be the same, and in the distance, the city continued on. Unaware that Daniel's world was about to unravel, the stranger said nothing more, only watched him, patient and still. Daniel folded the paper slowly, knowing that the secrets it contained could either destroy him or, finally give him the answers he had longed for. He took a deep breath, heart heavy, and stepped back toward the street, wondering how one simple message could change a life forever. Daniel didn't sleep that night. The rain had stopped, but the chill lingered, wrapping around him like a warning. He kept replaying the envelope in his mind, turning over every word, every implication. What could Lauren possibly be hiding? By morning, he felt a hollow weight in his chest. He watched Lauren make coffee in the kitchen, her movements calm and familiar, and it made him ache. How could someone so ordinary, so loving, have a secret that could shake his life to its core? He tried to act normal, but the envelope burned in his pocket. Each ring of his phone made him jump. Every notification felt like a signal. But he didn't open it again. Not yet. He wasn't ready. Work offered little distraction. Daniel's mind kept wandering, imagining every possible secret. Was it something about her past, her family, or worse, something he could never forgive? He caught himself staring at her pictures on his phone, wondering if he had ever truly known her. That evening, Lauren suggested a walk. The air was crisp, the sun sinking behind the horizon, painting the sky with orange and purple streaks. Daniel followed her, each step heavier than the last. "You seem distant," Lauren said softly, glancing at him. "Is everything okay?" He wanted to tell her, to confess everything, but the words stuck in his throat. How could he explain a stranger's message, a mysterious envelope, a truth he didn't even fully understand? "Just thinking," he said, forcing a smile. "Nothing to worry about." Lauren nodded but didn't push. She had always respected his space. And maybe, Daniel realized, that was why this secrecy felt so unbearable. Trust had always been their foundation, and now, it felt like a fragile thread, stretched thin. Later that night, Daniel finally opened the envelope. His hands shook, and for a moment, he almost turned back. But curiosity and dread pushed him forward. Inside was a photograph. Not just any photo, a recent one of Lauren, but with someone else, a man he didn't recognize. Their faces close, intimate but not romantic. There was also a note, carefully folded, written in familiar handwriting. He didn't know. "You never told him, but he deserves to know." Daniel stared, mind racing. Was this a lover? An old friend? A mistake? He felt anger rising, then confusion, then sorrow. His hands trembled as he set the photo down. Every memory of Lauren seemed to shift, to warp into something unfamiliar. He knew he had to confront her, but how? Could he even trust himself to ask the right questions without losing control? The next morning, he tried to approach her carefully. "Lauren, can we talk?" She looked up from the newspaper, smiling softly. "Of course, what's on your mind?" He wanted to scream, to demand answers. Instead, he said, I need to know something. Something important." Lauren tilted her head, concern flashing in her eyes. "You can ask me anything, Daniel. You know that." He took a deep breath. "Have you ever hidden something from me? Something big?" Lauren's eyes softened. There was a pause, long enough to make him fear the worst. But then she shook her head slowly. "No, I don't think I ever could." Daniel wanted to believe her, but the envelope, the photo, the stranger's words, they all screamed that something had been buried. Something dangerous. That evening, Daniel returned to the park, the same one where he met the stranger. The city was quiet again, the wind brushing through the trees. He hoped the stranger would appear, that they could finally explain. Hours passed, the sky darkened, and Daniel felt foolish for waiting. And just as he was about to leave, a familiar voice cut through the night. "Daniel." He turned. The stranger emerged from the shadows, hood up, face unreadable. "You needed to see the truth," they said, voice calm. "And you will, but it won't be easy." Daniel swallowed hard. "Why? Why me? Why now?" "Because the longer it stays hidden, the worse the consequences," the stranger replied. "Some secrets aren't just personal. They affect everyone around them, especially the ones we love the most." Daniel's heart pounded. He wanted answers. He wanted the pain to end. But fear rooted him to the spot. The stranger extended a hand. "If you really want to know about your wife, if you're ready to face it, follow me." Daniel hesitated. His life, his love, his marriage, they were all on the line. But deep down, he knew he couldn't turn back. Not now. He stepped forward, and the stranger led him to a small, nondescript building at the edge of the park. Inside, dim light illuminated walls, lined with papers, photos, and files. It was overwhelming. and Daniel felt a chill creep down his spine. "This is everything," the stranger said, gesturing to the room. "Everything she tried to keep hidden, but beware, truth can heal, and it can destroy. Often, it does both." Daniel's hands shook. He looked at the photos, the notes, the documents, pieces of Lauren's life he had never known, pieces that made him question everything he thought he understood about love and trust. And then, in the corner of the room, he saw something that stopped him cold. A file, marked with his name, and inside, a letter, one that seemed to speak directly to him, written in Lauren's handwriting. He reached for it, heart hammering. The stranger watched silently, like a patient predator waiting for the right moment. As he unfolded the letter, Daniel realized that what Lauren had hidden was far bigger, far more complicated than he could have ever imagined. And yet, there was a part of him that feared knowing the truth. Because some secrets aren't just about betrayal, they're about survival, love, and choices that can't be undone. And Daniel was about to learn that the truth had consequences far beyond his imagination. Daniel held the letter in his hands, feeling the weight of every word before he even read them. Lauren's familiar handwriting stretched across the page, neat and careful, yet there was an urgency beneath it, a hidden tremor, as if she had poured every emotion into this single piece of paper. He sat down on the cold, wooden chair in the dimly lit room, heart hammering. He took a deep breath and began to read. "Daniel, if you're reading this, it means the truth can no longer stay buried. I've kept this secret for years, not because I wanted to deceive you, but because I feared what would happen if the wrong people knew. I wanted to protect you, to protect us." Daniel's hands shook, gripping the letter tighter. His mind raced, trying to prepare for whatever revelation was coming. Lauren continued, "Before I met you, I made a choice, one that saved someone's life but changed mine forever. I was involved in something dangerous, something I had no control over. When we met, I thought I could leave it all behind, but it followed me. I tried to hide it, to live a normal life with you, because I loved you. But sometimes, the past catches up no matter how far you run." Daniel's head swirled. What could she have possibly done? Was it illegal? Was someone hurt? He felt a mixture of fear and anger. He read on. "You may see me differently when you know the truth. You may hate me. You may feel betrayed. But no, this sigh never stopped loving you. Everything I did to protect the people I cared about most. And that includes you." Daniel folded the letter once, twice, then stared at it blankly. His thoughts were chaotic. He loved Lauren, yes, but this was bigger than anything he had imagined. His trust, his sense of safety, his understanding of their life together, it all felt fragile, like glass. He looked up, and the stranger was still there, silent, watching him. "Are you ready for the rest?" the stranger asked. "Because the photos, the files, they'll show you everything. Every lie, every hidden moment. You have to see it all to understand." Daniel hesitated. Could he handle it? Could he really face the past she had tried to leave behind? And yet, he knew there was no turning back. He nodded, voice barely above a whisper. "Show me." The stranger handed him a folder. Inside were dozens of photographs, documents, and notes. Some were mundane bills, letters, travel receipts, but others were shocking. Names he didn't recognize, places he hadn't heard of, events that seemed impossible. As Daniel sifted through them, a story began to form, one of courage, fear, and sacrifice. Lauren had been protecting people who were in danger, using her wits and courage to keep them safe. Some of it had involved deception, lies, and morally complex choices. But never once had she put Daniel at risk. Tears filled his eyes. Anger and relief collided inside him. He wanted to scream at her for hiding this, and yet he wanted to thank her for everything she had done to protect him. And others. Then he saw it. A photograph that made his breath catch. Lauren, smiling faintly, standing beside a man he recognized from one of the documents. They were not lovers, not enemies. They were allies. And in her eyes was a mixture of hope and fear, a silent plea that Daniel never understood until now. Daniel leaned back, heart pounding, trying to process everything. He had thought betrayal. He had imagined lies. Instead, he found courage and selflessness. Lauren had carried a secret heavier than he could imagine, and she had done it to protect him and countless others. The stranger spoke again. "Not everyone can forgive what they don't understand. But now, you have the choice. You can see why she hid it, or you can walk away." Daniel looked at the photos, the letters, the evidence of her life before him. He thought of the years they had spent together, the love, the laughter, the quiet mornings, the shared dreams. He realized that understanding didn't erase the shock, but it could guide him to the truth about who Lauren really was. His hands shook as he picked up another letter, smaller this time, addressed to him personally. Lauren had written it years ago, knowing that one day, this moment might come. Daniel, it read, if the day comes when you learn my secret, I hope you can see why I did it. I hope you can see that everything I did out of love. And if you still choose to stand by me, I promise you a life built on truth, not lies. But I understand if you can't forgive me. Some choices are harder than they seem. Daniel's chest tightened. Forgive her. How could he even begin? And yet, the thought of losing her, of never understanding her, felt unbearable. He realized then that the stranger had been right. The truth was dangerous, but it was also liberating. He could see the courage she had shown, the moral complexity of her decisions, and slowly, a sense of understanding began to replace the anger. But just as he was beginning to accept it, his phone buzzed. A new message, from an unknown number. Some truths aren't just about the past. The danger isn't over. She hid this to protect you. But now you must act. Check the address below. Trust no one. Daniel's stomach dropped. The relief he had felt evaporated instantly. This wasn't just about understanding Lauren's past. It was still unfolding. He looked at the stranger, who nodded grimly. You have to decide quickly. The next step will change everything. And not all of it will be easy to bear. Daniel swallowed hard, heart pounding. He had glimpsed the truth. But now he faced a new challenge, one that could either bring them closer or destroy everything they had built. And somewhere, deep inside, a question gnawed at him. Could love survive secrets this big? Could trust endure the weight of a past kept hidden for so long? He didn't have long to decide. The message contained a location, a place he had never been. And he knew instinctively that this was the next chapter, the moment where understanding would meet danger. And courage would be tested in ways he had never imagined. As he stepped out into the cold night air, the city lights blurred around him. Daniel realized the journey was far from over. The past, the present, and the unknown future were all colliding at once, and he had to face it head-on. Daniel drove through the quiet streets, the mysterious address glowing on his phone screen. The city felt different at night, distant and unfamiliar, as if it were holding its breath, waiting for what was about to happen. He didn't know what he would find. The stranger's warning echoed in his mind, trust no one. Every instinct screamed caution, but beneath that fear was a burning need for answers. He had to know the full truth about Lauren and the danger that had followed her all these years. When he arrived, the building was old, unremarkable from the outside. A faint light flickered in one window. Daniel parked a few blocks away, heart hammering, and approached on foot. The closer he got, the more tense he felt. This was no longer about secrets or letters, it was about something bigger, something alive, something dangerous. He slipped inside. The interior was dark, musty, and silent. Dust motes floated in the pale light of a single hanging bulb. The stranger appeared from the shadows, just as before. You're here, they said, calm but firm. Good. But the truth here, it's different. It's immediate. You need to be ready. Daniel nodded. He followed, every nerve on edge. They led him down a narrow hallway to a small room. Inside, a single table stood, and on it, a laptop, open and active, displaying a video. Daniel's stomach turned. He recognized Lauren immediately, sitting in the middle of what appeared to be a safe house, speaking directly to the camera. Daniel, she began, voice steady but soft. If you're seeing this, it means my past has caught up to us. You deserve to know the truth before it's too late. He felt his breath catch. He had imagined confrontations, confessions, even arguments, but nothing prepared him for this. Lauren was alive, but she looked strained, worn down by years of carrying secrets. I wasn't always honest about everything, she continued. Before we met, I got involved with people who were in danger, people I had to protect. I made promises I couldn't break, choices I couldn't explain. And when I met you, Daniel, I hoped I could leave it all behind. But the truth doesn't disappear just because we want it to. It follows us. Daniel's hands shook. His mind reeled. This wasn't a simple secret, it was a world he didn't understand. A world of danger and moral complexity. She continued, there's someone after me now. They want information I've kept hidden. It's not about us, it's bigger than us. But I know that if you see this, you might be drawn into it. I don't want that for you. I want you safe. But I also need you to understand why I did what I did. Daniel felt tears prick his eyes. Every moment he had questioned her. Every moment of doubt, it all felt petty compared to what she had carried alone. The video ended. Silence filled the room. Daniel turned to the stranger. What does this mean? Are we in danger? The strangers shook their heads slowly. You're not out of danger? Not yet. But now you understand why she kept the secret. And now you have a choice: help her, protect her, or step back. But no one can ignore this. Daniel's chest tightened. He thought of Lauren at home, oblivious to the storm, smiling softly as if life were simple. And he realized that the life they had shared, while beautiful, had been built on the weight of her courage and sacrifice. I need to find her, he said, voice firm despite the fear twisting inside him. I need to protect her. I love her. I don't care about the danger. I just need her safe. The stranger studied him for a moment, then nodded. Good, but remember, the path ahead isn't easy. You're stepping into a world of choices with no clear right or wrong. Every decision has consequences, and some of those consequences are unavoidable. Daniel's mind raced. Every step he took now could change everything forever. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him, yet a determination stronger than fear propelled him forward. He returned home that night, careful not to alert Lauren. He wanted to be ready, to think, to plan, but every shadow in the house, every quiet sound, reminded him that danger was closer than he realized. He couldn't wait. He couldn't ignore it. The next morning, he packed a small bag, including the letters, the photos, and the stranger's files. He left a note for Lauren, telling her he was stepping out for a few hours, but nothing more. He didn't want her to worry or to follow. Daniel drove to the location mentioned in the new message. It was a warehouse near the river, abandoned but with signs of recent activity. His pulse quickened as he approached. The air smelled of rain and metal. Inside, the place was eerily quiet. And then, he saw her, Lauren, alive, standing near a pile of boxes, face pale but determined. She looked up and froze when she saw him. Daniel. Her voice was a whisper. What are you doing here? I had to see you, he said, stepping closer. I had to make sure you're safe. I know now. I know why you kept everything hidden. And I don't care about the danger. I just need you. Lauren's eyes filled with tears. She took a hesitant step forward. I didn't want to put you at risk. I thought if I kept you in the dark, you'd be safe. But you came anyway. Daniel reached for her hands. I don't care about safe. I care about us. About the truth. About being together. For the first time in years, Lauren allowed herself to breathe, to release the fear that had held her prisoner. Daniel held her, feeling the weight of all the years. The lies, the courage, and the love that had endured it all. But outside the warehouse, in the shadows, Daniel felt a presence, someone watching. He knew the danger wasn't over. Not yet. And as he and Lauren embraced, he realized that love alone wasn't enough. They would have to face the past together, confront the threat looming over them, and navigate the consequences of secrets that had waited years to surface. Daniel held Lauren close. The warehouse's cold walls echoing the faint sounds of dripping water. For a moment, it felt like they could breathe together, that the world outside didn't exist. But the shadow he had sensed outside remained, a reminder that her past was not finished with them yet. Lauren pulled back slightly, looking into his eyes. Daniel, you don't know how much I wanted to tell you everything before it got this far. I was afraid. Afraid you'd hate me. Afraid we'd lose each other. He shook his head. I don't hate you. I could never hate you. Not after everything I just saw. And now I understand. A noise outside made them both freeze, a soft, deliberate step. The air tensed, and Daniel instinctively moved in front of Lauren. Whoever was out there was close, watching, waiting. Before they could react, the stranger appeared at the doorway. You don't have much time, they said, urgency in their voice. They're coming. You need to leave now. Lauren grabbed Daniel's hand. We face this together, she said, determination replacing fear. No more hiding, no more running. Daniel nodded, heart pounding. Together, they slipped through a side door into the alley, the night swallowing them as they moved quickly and quietly. They weren't just fleeing, they were reclaiming control over the chaos that had invaded their lives. Once they were a few blocks away, hidden by shadows and the hum of the city, Daniel stopped. Lauren, tell me everything. No secrets, no letters, no strangers, no waiting. I need to know everything now. Lauren looked at him, eyes glistening. It's not just about me. Years ago, I was part of a network helping people escape from dangerous situations, people being threatened, people in danger. I had to lie, mislead, keep secrets, because the wrong person finding out could get them more assert. Daniel listened, absorbing each word, realizing the scale of the courage Lauren had shown. All those years. You carried this alone. To protect me? Yes, she whispered. I thought love could shield you from everything. I was wrong. But now, I want us to face it together. He pulled her close again, feeling both fear and relief. The past had been heavy, but they had survived. The danger was real, yes, but, for the first time, Daniel felt like they were a team. Like they could face it together. The next days were tense. They stayed in a safe house recommended by the stranger, going through Lauren's files, photographs, and notes. Daniel learned the full scope of her life before him, the people she had protected, the risks she had taken, the choices she had made. Each revelation brought shock, awe, and an ever-growing respect for the woman he loved. One evening, Daniel and Lauren sat together, looking at the city skyline through a small rain-streaked window. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked quietly. Lauren shook her head. "Never. Every choice, every lie, every secret. It brought me to you. And now, I want to live openly, with no more hiding." Daniel smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I don't know how I could ever repay you for everything you did. But I do know this: we face the future together. No more secrets. No more fear. Just us." For the first time in years, Lauren allowed herself to relax completely. She leaned against him, feeling the warmth and certainty that only love could bring. The weight of the past was still there, but together, they were stronger than it had ever been. Weeks later, the stranger returned one final time. "The threat is gone," they said. "You're safe. But remember, the past is never fully behind us. It lives in our choices, our actions, and how we move forward. Protect each other, and you'll be stronger than anything that comes your way." Daniel and Lauren watched the stranger leave, the silence of the night filling the space they had once feared. The danger had passed, but the lessons remained. Trust, courage, honesty, and love. These were the things they would carry into the future. Daniel held Lauren's hand tightly. "No matter what comes next, I'm with you," he said. "And I with you," she replied, her voice steady, full of conviction. They walked back to their small apartment, the city lights sparkling around them. Life wasn't simple. Life never was. But the secrets that had once threatened to tear them apart had been faced, understood, and survived. And in that quiet moment, Daniel realized that love wasn't about perfection. It was about facing the truth together, no matter how difficult, no matter how dark. It was about standing by each other when the world tried to pull them apart. Lauren looked at him, eyes soft but shining with emotion. "We're stronger now," she said. "Yes," Daniel agreed, smiling, "and nothing can take that away." As they embraced under the warm glow of their living room light, the past finally seemed like a shadow behind them, no longer looming, no longer threatening. They had faced it, learned from it, and emerged together wiser, stronger, and more in love than ever before. And for the first time in years, Daniel felt a deep, quiet peace. The stranger's message had revealed a secret. Yes, but it had also revealed the depth of Lauren's courage, her love, and the resilience of their bond. The storm was over. The danger had passed. And as they held each other close, Daniel knew this. The truth had tested them, but love had endured. Always. The end.